Welcome to this video tutorial where I'm going to show you how to work a butt stitch and the big rows which evolves from the butt stitch. So we start with the butt stitch, and I just prepared a little swatch here. I'm going to go into the middle of the side just so that I've got enough room to show you. I'm going to work 3 single crochet in this back loop only, but before I continue I'm going to place a stitch marker in the 3rd loop of the first stitch. So 2 more single crochets, or 3 single crochet all together. Then I'm going to work in the same stitch but in the front loop only 4 single crochet. And I'm turning my work as I go. So now you see, if I slip stitch into this 3rd loop, I have a butt stitch, and then I would continue in the next stitch. I wouldn't even need that stitch marker anymore, and I would continue in the next stitch, which is here. However, I would be keeping the stitch marker in here just in case when I work over this butt stitch in the next row, so that I can find this 3rd loop better. So let's keep this butt stitch here, and now we're going to work. I'm just going around the corner and towards the middle again, just so that I have enough space. And I'm doing the same. So now I'm starting again with a butt stitch and placing a stitch marker in the 3rd loop, working 2 more single crochet, and then working 4 single crochet in the front loop only of the same stitch. And you can see that again I've been turning my work, and I forgot to count. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was correct. Okay, now I'm turning the work towards me again, and for the big rows I know I have to go into the 3rd loop, which was marked with this stitch marker. And I'm actually going to keep it in there. And I'm working 2 single crochet into each of the 3rd loops. Now you see here, this is front loop, back loop, and this is the 3rd loop of the next stitch. And in this one also I'm going to work 2 single crochet, sorry. 2 single crochet in each of those 3rd loops. Turning my work as I go. 1, 2. And it helps to count, which I did not. But I can see that here I'm in the last stitch. So I've worked my way around, and I can now either slip stitch into the first of those single crochets made in the 3rd loop, slip stitch, and then continue, or continue directly in the next stitch. If you continue directly, your big rows, it looks a bit more layered. If you oops, was too much. I want to show you what happens when you do a slip stitch, which would be this. If you make a slip stitch and then continue, it brings this side a little bit forward. So whichever way you prefer. Let's just do this one more time. Let's make a big rows together. Again, I'm just going around the corner here, and it's just a little swatch to show you. I will need a stitch marker. I'm going to place it in the third loop of the first single crochet I'm making in the back loop only of the next stitch, and keep it there. 2 more single crochet in the same back loop. Now I'm turning my work, finding the front loop first, then I'm turning my work, and I'm working 4 single crochet in the front loop only. Now again, I just keep on turning, and I'm back here now. So my butt stitch is almost finished, but I continue. Instead of closing and continuing in the next stitch, I work in the third loop of the first of those single crochet where I place the stitch marker. I'm working 2 single crochet. So that's 1, and then I keep on working 2 single crochets in each of the third loop. That's 2, and just to make it easier for me, I keep on turning my work as I go. That's 4 now. And you see that I'm using my thumb or my thumbnail to help me get this third loop over the hook. That's 5, 6, and 1 more. 7. Oops, I want the whole loop. Just adjusting the stitch. So now I'm back at the right front, and I just keep on working in the next stitch. That's it. And I'll just make 1 more. Or rather, I'm going to meet you here. I'll continue and I'll meet you there to show you how to work over that stitch in the next round. So as you can see, I'm now in the next round, and I have 1 more stitch to go before I work over the butt stitch. And here it's very useful that I've got the stitch marker in here, so I can either, or you can either, work in this third loop that will keep your butt stitch centered, or you work into these 2 loops here that you can just see here peeking out underneath, and then you skip that third loop and you work into the next stitch. I do believe that it is nicer to work into the third loop. Just wanted to show you the option. So if you work in the third loop, then that keeps your butt stitch unperturbed. And you just, oops, keep on working in the next stitch and so on. And then we go around the corner here to work over the big rows. So 1, 2, 3, and now again you have a choice. You can work into this stitch here, or you can simply work in the third loop that is marked with a stitch marker, and then you continue in the next stitch. See that? Okay, so this is how you work the big rows, and also how you work the butt stitch, which is the basis for the big rows. And make sure not to work in your last single crochet, but in the first stitch of the side after the big rows. Maybe you want to put a stitch marker here just for quick reference. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that it helps you to work the big rows.